I'm Chris, you're watching FRAG-MENTAL, thank you for joining me. Mugler's A Men Ultimate is a release I've been highly anticipating. Unfortunately, it's not yet released here in the UK. Fortunately, I managed to grab a bottle. Stay tuned to FM. A Men and its flankers are very popular. I love the original A Men. Big patchouli bomb, I get a lot of coffee from it. Loud fragrance, very lively, fun. And then you've got the flankers, so we've got releases like Pure Wood, Pure Tonka, Ultra Zest, Crypto Mint, and I have Pure Malt and Pure Havana, two of my favourites from the line of flankers. So far, so easy to identify what prominent notes in those fragrances are. Now, with this release, Ultimate, not quite as easy to wrap your brain around what might be going on in this. I would have thought Mugler would have released, as part of the A Men flanker line in a blue bottle, maybe more of a marine type fragrance, more of a blue type fragrance. I know we've got a lot of those at the moment, but I would have been really interested to see what Mugler's take on that would have been. Perhaps they could have called it Ultramarine or Pure Ocean. That would have been great. And maybe there could have been some salty marine type accords in here, but no, it isn't that, it's Ultimate. I don't know what Mugler mean by Ultimate. I don't know if they feel it is the ultimate release in the A Men flanker line, or it's just the ultimate combination of notes. I don't know. But here it is, A Men Ultimate in this blue bottle. So let's take a closer look at the bottle and the notes. There's bergamot, cedar, mochaccino, and balsam fir. Yep, no patchouli, or certainly none listed that I could find anywhere. Mugler do say in some of the literature that it is kind of based on the A Men DNA, but of all the flankers, I've got to tell you that it is the furthest away from that A Men DNA. I would describe A Men, particularly in the opening, as having a loud, vibrant, fun, maybe could be described as a little bit juvenile, particularly in the opening, but I like it. This is definitely not that. This is smoother, richer, deeper, and more rounded. Of all the notes listed, to me it's the mochaccino that is the most prominent note in this one. So you get that lovely, milky, chocolatey coffee accord coming from it. So that's at the heart of this fragrance, and you get that right from the opening all the way to the end of the fragrance. A note in here which I'm a little bit disappointed, if I'm honest, isn't more prominent, is the fir balsam. It's a really nice note. I love the green piney accord that fir balsam brings to a fragrance, and I think that would have balanced really nicely with the sweet gourmandish nature of the mochaccino. So for me, that could have been pushed a little bit more, because I don't really pick up on any green pine fir balsam type accord in this. What I do get is a lot of depth, and I think that is coming from tonka and vanilla. So in the notes I found, not many notes listed at all, so I don't know if they are just the additional notes to the usual notes found in the A Men DNA, or if they are the only notes listed. Tonka isn't one of them, neither is vanilla, but I feel there's possibly some tonka and vanilla providing depth and sweetness and adding to that chocolatey accord that you get with this. Ultimate does have a really nice opening, but it's very different to what you might be used to from the original A Men and its flankers, which have quite a loud pop. This definitely doesn't have that. It does have a little bit of a pop, it does have its own energy and charisma going on in the opening, but it is much more reined in and more subtle than the original and its flankers. So when it opens, it's smooth, it's deep, it's rich, it's sensual, definitely has some gourmandish qualities. The opening was quite strong, like I said, not as strong as the others, but it was projecting and I was enjoying it. And a lot of the time with designer releases, they open strongly and then they just have this steep curve where they just fade away quite quickly. So I was bracing myself for that to happen with this, but it didn't. It lasted, which I have to say was a pleasant surprise. For me, that A Men DNA that you might be used to from this line is sitting very quietly in the background. It's certainly not as prominent in the original or the flankers. Let's compare it to the flankers that I have, which are my favourite. So I have Pure Malt and Pure Havana. And what I like with these fragrances is the distinctive tobacco note that you're getting in Pure Havana. I love the distinctive boozy note that you get with Pure Malt. So these fragrances have an identity because their hero notes are pushed front and center, and I love that about the A Men flanker line. You know, you get the orange with Ultra Zest, you get the mint with Crypto Mint, the tonka and the wood with Pure Wood. I like that. I think it makes them distinctive fragrances and it separates them from all the other fragrances in the line, but it keeps that A Men DNA just consistently running through the line. Now, to me, Ultimate isn't as distinctive. I mean, you know, what even is Ultimate? What does it mean? It doesn't mean anything really. If you think about it, it's a bit of an arbitrary term. I mean, on the surface, I guess it sounds cool to call a fragrance Ultimate. But yeah, I think Pure Mocha would have been a better name for this because it would have given it more identity. I think the bottle would have had to have been a different colour, obviously, but it would have put it in the line and it would have lined up nicely with the other flankers and had its hero note as its label. So overall, is it as good as the other flankers with that A Men DNA being really dialed back? For me, it's not quite as good. I mean, these are a couple of my favourite designers, especially Pure Havana. This is absolutely gorgeous juice for around £40 or $40 to $50 if you're in the US. For 100ml, it represents fantastic value. You know, it's a really nicely composed fragrance. It's fun, it's easy to wear, it's versatile. This is not quite as good. It's very nice, but because it doesn't have an identity and because that A Men DNA that we love so much is pulled right back, yeah, it's not quite as good. This could have been a standalone release. It could have been a release from Mugler that wasn't in the A Men line at all, because it does seem to move away from the other flankers. It's interesting, I think now that the parent company of Mugler is L'Oreal, and this is their first release since Mugler was bought out. So it's interesting that now a different company seems to be in charge, that they've taken a different route. So I don't know what that might represent in terms of future A Men flanker releases. Maybe they'll be similar to this. But I find it just a little bit wishy-washy in terms of the name and what the name means. Okay, down to the important stuff. I got some compliments. That happens, IRL. So yeah, I wore this for work and I'd had it sprayed on for about 2 hours, and one of my female colleagues was walking past me. She was maybe about 6 feet away from me, so not really that close, and she said, "Chris, what you're wearing today is really nice." And I was quite surprised actually, because although I was getting little wafts of it, I didn't feel it was strong, but she was a good 6 feet away and she detected it, and to her it smelled strong and she could smell it and she really enjoyed it, she liked it. So it is that sweet, very crowd-pleasing, easy to like type of scent. Another female colleague of mine that I was working with, she was a little bit closer, but this was a little later into the day. This was 3 or 4 hours into the dry down, and she could smell it and she really enjoyed that. She came back to me around 5 or 6 hours, and it had become a skin scent then, because she could smell it on my arm, but it wasn't really projecting as much. So from that I deduce that you're getting around 2 hours of a pretty decent projection. I'm going to say more, I'm going to say 2.5 to 3 hours actually, because I think it was projecting. I don't know if this is one of those fragrances that maybe you could become a little bit anosmic to, because there were times of the day where I couldn't smell it and then it would come back and I would get wafts. And I like that, you know, I don't mind if a fragrance fades and comes back, as long as it has a life and as long as I can wear it throughout the day and keep smelling it throughout the day, that's fine. I wore this for 8 or 9 hours for work, And for me, I was getting those wafts all through that time. So whilst I wouldn't say it's got massive projection and it's not a big fragrance into the dry down, and in terms of its longevity, it's definitely above average. If I'm getting 7 to 8 hours out of a fragrance and I'm getting a little bit of projection all throughout that time, I'm really happy. So it isn't projecting as loudly initially as the others in the line, but in terms of its dry down and its longevity, very similar to the rest of the line. Not quite sure of the prices here in the UK or in the US, as it hasn't had an official release yet. I bought this from Europe and it seems to be around 50 euros, so I think it's probably going to be quite similar in dollars and in pounds, and it's going to be around $50 or £50. So I think that's a little more expensive than what you can currently pick up the other A Men flankers for, or indeed A Men itself. But after it's been released for a few months, you will see the price come down and it will align more with the usual prices of the Mugler A Men line. It's pretty versatile. I think you could wear this all year round, but the gourmandish qualities that it has, I think, would make it work better maybe in cooler temperatures. In terms of occasions, again, you could wear this whenever you like. It is just quite a mass appealing, sweet type of scent. I think it would excel as maybe a scent to wear in the evening or even a date night scent. So overall, in my opinion, this is a very solid release from Mugler. I don't like it quite as much as the other A Men flankers because it doesn't have the identity and the distinctiveness that those flankers have, but all in all, pretty good release. Alright, so those are my thoughts on Mugler's A Men Ultimate. Have you tried this one yet? What did you think of it? Do you agree with what I said, or did you get something completely different? Where do you think it sits in the A Men lineup? Is it better than any of the other flankers? Whatever your opinions on this one, I would love to hear what you've got to say, so drop some comments down below. I hope you enjoyed it, hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, keep tuning into FM and keep smelling good.